What does certificate of release from a federal tax lien mean? In this video, we're going to explore what it really means to have a federal lien release. In other words, it no longer is yours. So in this video, we're going to dive into exactly what it means to you, the benefits it could mean to releasing it, and exactly how to do that. So stick around and we'll walk you step by step through how it works, what the government does with these, and the best and most effective and quickest way to get these released. And stick around. At the very end, I've got some brand new treats for you. So stick around to the very end and we'll see you then. So first of all, let's just talk about a federal tax lien, okay? Don't confuse this with a state, a county, a property. County can put a lien on your property for failure to pay taxes on a car that you've sold, a boat that you sold. States can do it if you live in a state where there is state income tax. I know there's a few of them that don't have that. State income tax, a franchise tax board of California can sometimes be even more aggressive than the Internal Revenue Service. We all hear about the IRS, right? They've probably got the biggest marketing campaign there is in the United States. It's called Al Capone. He was arrested and put to jail for tax evasion, not for murdering the people that he murdered or the extortion, what have you. So this is a very serious thing. So again, we got to look at our tax system. Our tax system in the United States is actually pretty awesome if you were to compare it with everything. Now, I'm not going to sit there and justify whether the federal government should have income tax or not. And I'll get all the mail down below, in fact, the comments going, there was a time when we didn't have any income tax. Okay, well, there was also a time when penicillin wasn't around. I don't know which one's better or which one's not. The fact of the matter is we do. So I'm going to address what you need to do with that. And by the way, if you find this valuable, hit the thumbs up, forward it to a friend, subscribe, like. Most importantly is comment. I have been getting a ton of comments on the videos. I answer, not Billy Bob or Susie Q. I answer all of them, so make sure you put the comments in there. So let's go back to our taxing system here in the United States. Okay, IRS, okay, income tax, we're permanent. I do believe it was 1913. It's been over 100 years since we've had income taxes in this country. And really, what do they signify? Well, you've got to look at it. I've traveled around the world dozens of times, and you're always acutely aware when you're in a country that doesn't have a actual functioning tax system. So let's go back in the history of money. Okay, you've got these two opposing forces out there. You've got France and you've got England. A little bit of Spain and Portugal. Italy really wasn't anything to be shake a stick at. It was really France and England. So how is it that a little tiny island can outperform France? Well, again, you've got to just look at the whole history of it. England was extremely efficient and effective at collecting income taxes. That's it. So they could fund their unbelievable navy. They also didn't have a standing army to support because they really didn't need one. You dominate the seas, you dominate the world. Ask the United States Navy, that's how it works. With our aircraft, Nimitz class aircraft carriers, we can be anywhere in the world and pretty much stop traffic, okay? So now you go to France. Here's a country that was, arguably, and somebody can check me on this one, 4 or 5 times bigger than England. How come they couldn't make it happen? Because their taxing system sucked. Okay, it was really bad. So what I mean is, Louis or, any one of those, King Louis or whatever the case is, they just weren't good at doing it. And there was a lot of little loopholes and people were kind of scuffed their nose at it. So their tax system wasn't very effective. And you can see this to this day. So anytime you travel around the world, it's really obvious when you're in a French colony, a Spanish colony, as opposed to an English colony. An example of that, if you go to South America, very dominant by Spain, right? Addresses, they don't exist. I mean, they kind of do. But if I want to get something to a property in I don't know, Colombia or Panama, there's really not an address. You'd have it delivered someplace close by, a box office. They don't even call that. So their whole address system, so even collecting taxes was super difficult. And you go back over to England, super effective, super efficient postal system. Everybody had addresses, the whole 9 yards. So there's the background on it. Okay, so the United States, obviously a colony of England, had an incredible taxing system, not just internally, that's how tax lien certificates got around on properties, but also externally, because England, King George, right, we fought the Revolutionary War to get rid of excess taxes on the trade, the tea that was coming in, the molasses, the sugar, all of those things were getting overtaxed, and that's the reason for that. So the United States didn't really have that because we were the United States of America, and then therefore the federal government just functioned as an arm of our greater globe of the states to keep commerce and what have you going on an international basis, what little we had. Okay, so it was 100 plus years ago when they said, okay, enough's enough. We need to start having some income tax to support this big beast called the federal government. Again, not going to argue the pros or cons against that. I'm just going to state the facts. So when they started collecting income tax as a whole, it's a voluntary system. So one of the things I want to take a step back from is I get a lot of people that start making money, and the first thing they say is, I've got to figure out what the loopholes are in the tax system, And that implies that the IRS, Congress, accidentally left a loophole in there, and they didn't. The tax code is designed in this country for business owners, that would be you and me, to win. You gotta just understand it. So finding loopholes would be like going to a football game and trying to figure out a way to skirt the rules to win. That's what the refs are there for. See, think of the referees on a football field as the IRS. They don't make the rules, they just enforce them if they see them. Okay, so when you're sitting there playing a different game than everybody else is by avoiding taxes, you're going to get caught. It's just a matter of time. And that's when the IRS will come in and slap a federal lien against you. Now, here's the thing about the feds, I should say the IRS. They don't really care what you own. They're going to put a lien on everything so you can't do anything until they get handled. That would include a property. So a couple of things you want to look at here. If you have a federal tax lien against your property, you have to pay this or they won't release it. That is their lever. That's their leverage, if you will, against you. You can't do anything until this happens. Now, you can sell the property, but in the process of selling it, before you get any cash or anybody else's, the federal government has to be taken care of. So there's got to be enough equity and all that good stuff. Now, here's the kicker. If you have a federal tax lien against you, not only do you have to pay it, but you have to make sure that everything they've put a lien on, which is going to be everything, has got the lien released. Okay, so they're not going to go, oh, thanks for paying it. Now let us go out and release the liens on all this stuff. It's not going to happen. They're going to go, thank you very much. Good luck. And it's your job to prove that that's been paid so that those liens can be released. Once you get that waiver of release on that, you're going to be good to go. The technical term on that is a certificate of release. So this goes back to the tax lien, tax deed days of old. When I saw an IRS lien on a property, I really didn't worry about it because the IRS could have been satisfied, but they no longer released the lien on it. It means the lien looks like it's still valid, but I would get a hold of the IRS back in the days that they were a lot easier to get a hold of and say, is this lien still valid? And they say, no, we have a certificate of release on that. I would get it faxed, okay, dating myself, faxed over to me. I would see that release on that certificate of release and go, no, okay, if I go to the sale and I buy that property, I'm not going to have to worry about the federal tax lien. Now, here's another thing you might not know. When I'm buying a property at a tax deed sale, anything over the minimum bid, let's say it's $10,000, and I bid it up to $50,000, so there's $40,000 in excess funds. Okay, that money will go towards any debt that might have been wiped out in the tax deed sale from the county. But if there's an IRS lien on there, let's say a federal tax lien that hasn't been satisfied on that, they've been notified, but I can still eliminate them. From that excess funds, it can be paid on that. Okay, so remember, if I'm going into a tax deed sale and I see an IRS lien on the property, it's interesting, and I kind of go like this, because now I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a second. If everybody thinks it's still valid on here, okay, so check and see if there's a certificate of release on that, number one. Number two is, if the IRS has been notified of the tax deed sale and they don't respond, which means paying off the taxes, by the time the sale comes along, that position is no longer valid. Okay, now they still might get some of the excess funds on there, but it's no longer your responsibility as a new owner to the property. And I'm hoping that's helpful on all that. So kind of a little history along with what you need to do with that. Listen, I've got a brand new course on exactly how to handle all this and provide financial independence for you and your family. All you have to do is click the link down below, higginsmethod.com. Watch that brand new course, and it will set you and your family free financially. God bless and good luck.